Thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to be reviewing the Shimano 105 PD-R7000 SPD-SL pedals. The Shimano R7000 product number corresponds to Shimano's current 105 series of group sets, which includes everything from shifters to the pedals that we have here today. Shimano 105 is widely known as their entry-level performance lineup and sits underneath the more expensive and lighter Ultegra and top-of-the-line Dura-Ace products. In terms of packaging, as you can see, it's very simple. You have the classic Shimano blue color scheme with this silver accent. You have a nice window cut into the cardboard that lets you see the pedal, which is a nice feature, and basic specs printed right on the front. Otherwise, pretty simple packaging, and you can see it's just all blue on the back, aside from the serial barcodes on here. We'll go ahead and take this out of the box and go over the specs. Retail price on this is $150, so pretty affordable. And that includes the cleats, so you're really ready to ride right out of the box. It has a carbon composite body that's almost visually identical to the Ultegra and Dura-Ace versions. It has an adjustable tension design, so you can see there's a bolt right on the front, and that lets you make it easier or harder to clip in or release. These are the SPD-SL pedals, so it's a road-specific one with 3 bolts and a very wide platform, so you can see the body of it very wide at the edges, which gives you better performance when you're road cycling. The main difference between this and the other pedals like the Ultegra and Dura-Ace is that they're slightly heavier, and then you can see the stack height. This has a 16.5 millimeter stack height, which is a few millimeters thicker than the other pedals. You have a fully serviceable sealed cartridge axle, so you can actually pull this apart, re-grease it, or replace it once you have enough miles on it and you have some wear and tear. As far as what comes with these, obviously you get the pedals. Shimano also includes this nice little warning about not using non-genuine Shimano parts, as there are a lot of third-party Shimano compatible cleats that will work but may have questionable quality depending on where you buy it from. You can see we have the cleats here. So these are the yellow variation with the 6 degrees of float. And then we also have the bolts and hardware to install them, as well as a little instruction manual. Now let's take a look at the weight of the 105 pedals. If we put the left one on the scale, it comes in at 128, while the right one also comes in at 128, so fairly lightweight for the setup. Visually, the Shimano 105 pedals are hard to tell apart from the Ultegra and Dura-Ace counterparts. The main differences between the other model is the fact that the other models are a little bit lighter, so they shave down the body, and they have a different axle option. So with the Ultegra and Dura-Ace, you can actually get a 4mm extension kit. So if you have a bike fit that requires your pedals to be a little bit further out, you can only do that with those variations. The other ones are a little bit lighter, but they have the same carbon composite body, so they're visually very hard to tell apart. The other difference here is the stack height. So if you look at the center of the axle to where your cleats are, you want that to be as thin as possible for the best performance. But with the difference between the 105 and Dura-Ace only being a millimeter or two, it's really not that obvious for most cyclists. Thanks to the trickle-down tech from Shimano, 105 is really a great best bang for your buck group set. So whether you're getting the shifters or the pedals, you get 95% of the performance, a lot lower cost, and a couple extra grams. You can see you have a carbon composite body with these little plates and exposed screws. Very wide platform. That's what's unique about Shimano SPD-SL. 3-bolt setup where it hooks underneath the front and the back, but it's very wide, so you get a nice secure platform and you can really put the performance down. That's a big difference between SPD-SL and SPD. The SL version is wider. The standard SPD is much more narrow and better suited for mountain biking or walking. The axle on this is very clean as well, so you can see it's a sealed cartridge style. It's fully serviceable, so you can actually take this apart with the right tool, re-grease it or replace the axle entirely, and you can see nice and smooth with the installation requiring an 8mm Allen wrench on the inside. So a pretty attractive design, and really, again, hard to tell apart from the other counterparts. You also have the adjustable tension, so it's hard to tell here, but you have this bolt on top. Clockwise makes it a little bit stronger, so it increases the tension on the spring. Counterclockwise loosens it, and you have a little indicator here. It's a bit hard to tell where you're exactly at, but there's 3 notches, and you have a nice click. So to adjust the tension, you just grab an Allen wrench, put it in the top, and again, clockwise to increase it. You can hear a really nice click, and as we're increasing it, that little indicator goes downward. So you want to make sure you get these identical on both sides. And then as you reach the bottom, you want to stop once that indicator hits the bottom. It's hard to tell when you're actually at the bottom, but the click will change. So the sound of the click changes slightly. I'd recommend leaving it at the middle or looser until you're more comfortable. You really don't want to make this really tight and then fall over at a stoplight. So definitely proceed with caution and then test it out before you really do a long ride. Here you can see some riding footage with the pedals. We paired them with our DMT KR0s and our Trek Amande, which really all pair well color-wise. As you can see, the pedals have a standard clip-in design, so you tilt the front inward and then push down with your heel to lock into place. And being the SPD-SL variation, they have a very wide platform, so it's great for cycling. You really feel connected and there are no pressure points. It's really easy to take them on and off. We adjusted the tension to be about in the middle, but you can easily make it higher or lower depending on your riding preferences. And being the 105 series, you have tons of trickle-down tech, so I don't see a real point to getting the Ultegra or Dura-Ace unless you really want everything to match exactly. Otherwise, the 105 feel like really high-end pedals, they look like them, and they perform well. So it's really a great combination of everything, and it's a great option to look Keo or other pedals on the market. Now let's do a little comparison between the Shimano 105 and other pedals on the market. Shimano also has SPD pedals, and these are more mountain biking appropriate. You can see it has the cleat attachment right at the center, and these allow you to have a recessed cleat, so you can actually walk around with them, but much smaller footprint. So you only have the attachment here, while with the 105, you can see you have the front and then the back, so much further apart, and gives you a lot more performance. It's something I highly recommend for road cycling. It's harder to walk in, but definitely worth it if you're doing longer rides. The other cool pedal is the Wahoo SPEEDPLAY. This is the older SPEEDPLAY variation, but very similar in appearance. And it's a lollipop design. You can see same cartridge style bearing. Lets you rotate around. This is dual-sided, while the 105 is one-sided. There's almost no dual-sided 105 setups, as it'd be very large with the clamping design. You can see with the SPEEDPLAY version, they've really taken all the guts of the pedal and put it in the cleats themselves. So the pedal is really simple, but the cleats are much larger. The biggest competitor with the SPD-SL pedals are the Look Keos. They're very similar in shape, almost identical, but they've made them just different enough to not be compatible. Same spring on the front with adjustable tension, same carbon composite bodies. Look Keo is a little bit lighter, as they have some carbon blade variations that drop a couple grams. But otherwise very similar, and the other difference is you can see the SPD-SL is a wider setup, so when you put them right on top of each other, you can see just a little bit wider, so it gives you a larger platform. If you look at the cleats as well, that's where it really shows off the difference. So the SPD is wider on the edges, but otherwise has the same 3-bolt compatibility, same hook in the front, so pretty hard to distinguish unless you see them side by side. Shimano also offers multiple float options. The yellow one is 6 degrees, so 3 degrees in each direction. So that'll actually let you fidget around a little bit, so you have a little bit of adjustment. It's nice to have that adjustment just to get your fit, and you don't feel like you're really trapped in there. They also have 0 degrees, which locks you in, so if you're doing more competitive racing, you might want that. Or 12 if you need just more float. The more float you have, the more sloppy it feels though. So you want to definitely find the one that's appropriate. The yellow one's a great starting point if you're new to the pedals. Now let's go over the pros and cons for the Shimano 105 pedals. What I like about them is they have a serviceable design, and because they're Shimano, you can get the parts nearly anywhere. So it's really easy to find replacements. You also have a nice wide and stable platform with the SPD-SL cleats. So they're really great for road cycling or sprinting. And being a 105 series product, you have a lot of trickle-down tech, which makes them one of the best values in the lineup. You don't have to pay for Dura-Ace. The main negative is that these pedals only come in black. It'd be great to see some other options. Taking everything into account would give the pedals a 9.5 out of 10. So the best bang for the buck within the Shimano pedal lineup. Thanks for watching this review. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You can see more content from us on our website at thesweetcyclist.com, as well as follow us on Instagram at The Sweet Cyclist. This is The Sweet Cyclist reminding you to enjoy the ride.